this has to be something that's not technologically advanced. Like I said, they're a growing generation. Everybody grows older each day, you know, and they've been growing older for quite a while. And so this needs to be not technologically advanced, something that's simple and easy for everybody to use. So these waters that they're going to be checking are in extremely remote places. So this is actually part of our ranch. As you can see, there's not a town, home, or road in sight. So our affected populations, so our end users are actually going to be the ranchers themselves, the workers. So they're going to be the ones driving and actually checking these waters. So this is actually going to save them a ton of time, because they can see on their phone and monitor the well that they would have had to drive to and actually look at by just looking on their phone and seeing exactly their water level, their generator level, and other well parts. So the customer is going to be the ranch manager themselves. This is the person that's managing the entire place. They're not going out, they're managing the workers, telling them where they need to go each day and what they need to do. So this can also be tied to the owner, as the owner is more concerned with the budget. They want to see where my money's going and how it's being spent. Our stakeholders are the cattle industry as a whole. Okay, so everybody wants to save money, everybody wants to save time. The National Forest Service actually leases most of the land that these ranchers are using. So they're going to be directly concerned with their water, because the publicity and the media all reflects on how the Forest Service is doing, because they're behind the operation. The NRCS is the National Resource Conservation Service. They're going to be concerned with our water conservation and exactly how much water we would be conserving with this technology. This technology is actually a triple bottom line. We are saving the ranchers money, the workers their valuable time, and everybody's water. It is a very limited resource.
So this picture kind of encompasses the purpose of our technology. This is a personal picture of a well system that's about 3 miles from any structure and any accessible road. We did have to take a 4x4 vehicle out there to fix this, and once we got there, it took about 3 hours to fix. So again, this situation is exactly what we're trying to avoid, and basically we're going to end up automating efficiency. So some of the statistics relative to our initiative is that to run about 200 head of cattle, we're looking at about $30 a head, and most operations here in Arizona run anywhere from 50 to 100 head. And then as far as time goes, about 2 hours a day is dedicated to the upkeep of watering systems on the ranch, and then to produce 1 pound of beef, you need about 1,800 gallons of water. So again, all these resources are very scarce, and we're trying to use them as efficiently and cost-effective as possible. So here's our technology benchmark. It's called Ranch Systems, and they're really trying to market a system that basically does what we're doing, but their main consumers are in viticulture, and it comes at a very high cost, almost 2 to 3 times more expensive than what we're planning on doing. And it's very prohibitive in the fact that it doesn't really appeal to our ranch managers or workers because it is so new and at such a high cost. They really just need a simple, robust solution, and that's where we would come in. And then our industry benchmark is actually just manual labor. Right now, ranchers all over the state and all over the country are physically doing this work, driving across 50,000 acres, trying to figure out where their water lines are leaking, or checking on a pump that's been faulty in recent time. But again, malfunctioning pumps, broken pipes, and other just equipment malfunctions are basically only detected upon physical observation. So that's where we would come in with the monitoring system.
All right. Good morning. My name is Mike. So how are we going to accomplish what we're proposing here? So this is a kind of a flow diagram. You guys take a look here of how we plan the system to work. At the individual watering points, there's going to be a small microcontroller that can do water sensing or even have relays to control water pumps. And those are going to be networked to the main well hub. From our research, typically these wells are set up with multiple watering points from a single well that goes to a cistern. At this cistern, we plan to put a well hub that communicates to these watering points via an NRF24. It's kind of like a standard Wi-Fi signal, but it's a little bit more utilitarian, a little bit more range. Now from the well hub, that also gives us control over the actual well pump to see if it's pumping water, and the well cistern levels. So if there is a leak and the water level starts to drop with no real indication of it going to a watering point, then the user can be notified, hey, you got your pump is either leaking, or the well is leaking, or the cistern is leaking, and they can go out and fix that before it becomes a large problem. We plan to network the actual well hubs to a web app on a web server through LTE M1. It's this new LTE-based network here in the United States that's primarily being set up for the Internet of Things and small devices such as that. And the coverage is actually very good. I believe currently it's at about 80% coverage in the US, with about 80% as well here in Arizona. From there, all of the data is going to go into a web app. We decided on a web app instead of like a proprietary either Android or Apple app, because a web app from a web browser is easily accessible from any device, whether it be a phone, tablet, laptop. So it gives the rancher a little bit more flexibility and kind of takes a little bit of that technological barrier edge out. And the web app will also do data collection and analysis, so you can see which watering points on your ranch are being more used, more highly trafficked, giving the rancher a little bit of information to plan ahead for the future to kind of optimize his production.
So for our research, due to the accessibility of our team, we began conducting interviews with Tanner Lyman and Katie Bell because they have prospective ranches here in southern Arizona. And then once we got their information, we then hit the rest of southern Arizona ranchers through connections of Katie Bell.
So these are some of the names of the people and ranches that we got in contact with. We conducted phone and email interviews, and we got a bunch of really good data from them. But again, knowing our demographic, we had a lot of skepticism with the technology, which is a barrier we knew we had to overcome. Some of the questions were regarding, is the network actually going to work? How easy are these to fix? Will I have help if I need help? And that'll be part of our rollout, which we'll get to later in the presentation. But we definitely took all their concerns, and again, we'll address those later.
So we would like to address our two goals. We would like to expand our market and spread awareness. We plan to do this through customer acquisition and retention, and then we plan to also get our name out there in the game and spread our marketing and branding.
We're also going to do this by contacting other makers that are already supplying supplies such as like pipe and the water tanks themselves. So we're actually going to wholesale the product to them, and then they are going to sell it to the customer because they are already in contact with many of these customers previously. So by word of mouth, we just give the technology to them and they spread it without us having to, with these high advertising costs and other such costs like that.
All right, so we did a quick financial projection for the first 5 years that we plan to be in business. Year one, we plan to be in full product development mode because we're also going to be having to develop the software to go along with it, with the security issues and the storage of all that data. Year two, we plan to do kind of a soft rollout of our systems to our company affiliated ranches. That way we can kind of work out the kinks, do a lot of beta testing, and make sure that when the product hits kind of the open market, it is a full system with kind of a little bit of history of tech support, where we can have our techs know what types of issues to look for and to kind of optimize the use and to explain the technology better as it gets rolled out to larger markets. By year three, we do anticipate our net profits would go into the green, so to speak. And by year 4 and 5, we hope to expand into about 20% of the top rangeland operations, and then, of course, into the rest. So we are definitely a for-profit company, and we hope that this appliance not only gives us, these net profit benefits, but helps the ranchers out as well. Next, who's got the clip? All right. So the pricing and cost of goods. Our system is going to use a lot of ubiquitous, very commonly found cheap parts. It's going to be like Arduino type sensors, Grove type sensors, things that are very cheap and easy to find white labeled on the market. Places like Alibaba, Taobao, and just a couple of markets in Shenzhen can literally provide all of the raw goods that we need to make our system for a fraction of the cost that we could actually retail it for. We're also going to be rolling this out as there's going to be a monthly service fee as well. That's going to pay for the server upkeep, pay for essentially troubleshooting or any on-site help that they may need with the system. Next.
For
For our next steps, we have it broken up into 5 different stages, starting off with our research stage, which is going to be creating the prototype, as well as our advisory board. Next, we have the development stage, which is going to be testing the prototype. After that, we have our promotional stage, which is going to be advertising our product. Moving into the inspirational stage, which is our marketing plan and carrying out our marketing plan to advertise our product further and to mobilize the mobilizing stage, which is our future market. We hope to expand to other states other than Arizona as well.
Thank you guys for your time. What questions about that?
So, everybody dreams of finding that one app that's going to be just a blockbuster.
Mhm.
This seems like a good idea. Let's assume it works in terms of the technology. What do you anticipate, where do you think pushback would come from in terms of getting the product out there?
Yeah, so we've already kind of talked about that, and the most pushback we've had is cell phone coverage. You know, because most of these places, like in the previous picture I showed, were very remote, very hard to find. And that's where the LTE M1 comes in. That's a brand new network. It's, like Mike said, is 80%
Just want to pick 2
coverage
more slides, actually.
forward.
Yeah, 3, 4, that one right there. So that's
Yeah,
currently
so this is
the
The M1 coverage right here. So the white is the parts that aren't covered, and we're right around in here for these ranches. This is right around here is more the Indian reservation, so that's where we're going to be moving. We're kind of going to be spreading along with the cell phone coverage almost.
You talked about how the ranchers might be a hard sell. Had you thought about trying to monetize the current cost of their labor and the water for the cattle to, I guess, incorporate into your Inspire marketing piece?
Yeah, so the 3275 was the number. That's I believe it was per rancher. There was
an hour or something.
Yeah, per hour. And so that is an extremely high number, obviously. And so when these ranchers are spending right around 2 hours every day to drive around these thousands of acres and check these waters, we brought in the cost. So we also brought in like tires and gasoline and fuel along on top of our labor costs to really sell that. Is you're not going to have to drive out there. You're not going to have upkeep on your machines. It's going to greatly reduce your time spent. So we kind of put that in as like more of a selling point.
So I also love the idea. If I followed you correctly, your technology is not something you're creating. You're basically buying stuff that already exists out there and packaging it in a new way. It's going to be able to deliver this service. Is that
Correct. For the initial product development stage, that's what we plan to do. But as we kind of do that soft rollout, we actually plan to make custom modules, things like that. PCB, making your own circuit boards and things like that, and ordering them in bulk from China has actually gotten a lot cheaper and a lot easier. So we actually calculated that into our expense as part of our kind of a reducing cost of goods almost for us, which is going to be great for us in the long run, we feel. So we feel like initially we were going to use technology that exists and that has a track record and has a history of being of working, and then kind of from there moving to making our own modules as well.
We're more taking a technology that it's proven itself, that already works, and we're directing it at a market that's never seen anything like that technology, cornering a market that has no idea about this technology and never previously used it. So it takes out the problems with, does this technology work? Has it been established? We've already got it established and know that it works. We're just directing it at a market that has not ever seen it before.
So will it work in the environment that you're proposing it for, though?
Yeah, that's what we're, in the
Ranches.
first year of testing, that's where we're going to get more of a clear idea as to will it actually work in these very remote areas.
Well done.